see where all of you guys, the points are, but I think that American expansion was actually justified because as much as like you guys are saying that America might have forced a few things, like in the Spanish-American War, Spain actually attacked the USS Maine, so like an indirect cause of winning the Spanish-American War won many lands as shown in source A. So I think that like American expansion was justified because, as it also said, like many naval ports were won, so like the U.S. became a bigger military power.
I disagree with Milan because it risked a lot of lives in the Spanish-American War and it killed a lot of people. And it says in a journal, New York Journal in February 17, 1898, the journal offers $50,000 reward for the conviction of the criminals who sent 254 American sailors to their death.
So I agree with Arnold and disagree with Milan because it said in the background essay that they were geographically isolated, and I don't really think they had the strongest naval power, and I know that nations in Europe did. So with being isolated already and not having a strong navy, it was just be like hard to like expand.
So we are going to actually circle up. So we're going to be standing in a circle and everybody's going to be a part of the conversation. So you may want to bring some resources and any talking chips that you have left to the circle. Okay.
So just to clarify, you're saying that you're against that America was not justified? Yeah. Okay, so, and then back to what Arnold said earlier, said that, from source A, said that self-governing state cannot accept sovereignty over an unwilling people. The United States cannot act upon the ancient heresy that might makes it right. I agree with that because, it means that they don't want dominion over people, and that they can't force heresy.
Like Parker kind of said, like the U.S. at that time period did not like have to be an imperial power. It literally just needed to be a strong enough country to survive through World War I and the issues that were going on then. But over the 20th century, the U.S. just slowly became more powerful by winning wars, getting more productive in their economic industry, and eventually the U.S. just turned into an imperial power that could defeat Britain. So it wasn't like exactly at that period of time, but it is now.
Okay, so I'll just pose a question to this last point about America growing into an imperial power and politically taking over other areas. How does that go against what we have learned about Enlightenment ideals and the idea of self-government? So can anyone speak to the point of does imperialism go against the Enlightenment?
It goes against the Enlightenment because the Enlightenment, when we learned about it, it talked about how each government should govern themselves, and the people should be like the government, and they should kind of control it like we have today, like we have voting. And if America or any other country were to take over another country, then that would go against the Enlightenment ideas of self-government.
So to answer your question, I think it really depends on who they're going to expand to, because for example, Cuba, they were being ruled very, very unfairly, and so they needed to expand and they needed to take over, but there were also many nations that were fine with being self-governed, and America wanted to take over some of those places, and I think it just causes more chaos. So I think they really have to be careful on who they're going to expand to make sure that the people actually want to, because that's really important in a government, to make sure that the people are happy, or else the American and French Revolution, the people weren't happy, and so revolutions could happen if you're not careful on who you choose to expand to.